Hi, I'm Joe and welcome to the channel. In this micro lesson, I wanted to talk about how you could write your own chord progressions. I'm going to talk a little bit about where chords come from, how you can sequence those chords, and I'm also going to give you some templates to start with, some very common chord progressions that have been used on thousands of songs that you can then turn around and modify and make them your own. If you're new to the channel, please consider supporting the channel for free by subscribing down below and hitting the like button, especially if you find any value in this video whatsoever. I do appreciate it. It does help me out. Let's go ahead now and jump into the content. So first things first, what is a chord progression? Well, that's basically a sequence of chords that you're going to put together to create a pattern. And you're going to play that pattern either throughout the entire song if you want to, or for a different section of your song, you can switch up your progressions. So for the verse, you can have one sequence of chords, and for the chorus, you can have something completely different. If we look at something like the blues, a 12-bar blues chord progression, you notice there that that same chord progression is used throughout the entire song. It's basically a 1-4-5 chord progression. Now, where's that coming from? What does 1-4-5 mean? Well, to understand that, we need to dive in a little bit to some music theory. But before I go there, I want to preface this by saying there's been thousands of songs and there's thousands of great songwriters and people making music that do not know any music theory whatsoever, and they're building the most beautiful chord progressions. And that's because they're using their ear. And so I just want to encourage you that although we're diving into a little bit of theory, always go by what sounds good in your ears. Like when you're hearing, bring that out, express yourself with that. Don't let the music theory get in the way. Obviously use your ears to create the best music that you possibly can. Trust your ears is all I'm saying. But I'm going to use music theory because it helps me explain to you where these chords are coming from and then how you can use them. So for this example, we're going to start with the key of C. And the reason why I'm choosing the key of C is because there's no sharps or flats in them. So let's look at the major scale, the C major scale. We basically have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and we're back to the root. Well, all of those scale degrees, which would be the root 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and back to the root 8, which is the octave, we can build a chord off of those. And how we do that is with a very simple formula. We use a root note, a third, and a fifth. So again, we're using those scale degrees. Let's look at C major. We have the root of C, and if we count up to the third, C, D, E, we now have the third. And if we count up to the fifth, C, D, E, F, G, we now have a triad, or the first major chord. And we can follow this process throughout the entire scale. So what are we left with in the key of C? Well, we're going to have C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, and a B diminished. Now that B diminished is not used very often in a chord progression, and some people will basically change that to maybe a flat 7 chord to get back to the C, but that's jumping a little bit ahead of ourselves. But basically what I was showing you there is that each scale degree we just built a chord off of. And what did you notice? We basically had a major chord for the 1 chord, then a minor chord for the 2nd degree, we had a minor chord for the 3rd degree, we had a major chord for the 4th, we had a major chord for the 5th, and we're back to a minor chord for the 6th, and again we had a diminished chord for the 7th degree. Now all of those chords are now available to you to put together however you want to create your own chord progressions. So now that we know this, we can actually do this in any key. So basically step 1 of creating your own chord progression is kind of decide what key you want to play in. Now this could be based upon the melody line that you might have come up with, or basically where you can sing as a singer. There might be certain keys that sound better for you if you're a singer. Whatever it is, you need to determine what the key is. But that formula that I just shared, where you're going to have a 1 major chord, 2 minor chord, 3 minor chord, 4 major chord, 5 major chords, 6 minor chord, and the 7th will be a diminished chord, in the key that you're playing in, that'll always hold true. So let's go ahead and start to build a chord progression. Maybe we're going to start with something simple. We're going to start with the 1 and the 4 and the 5 chord. And that's very common to you. It's a very common chord progression. Now it's up to you to decide how many beats you want to play each chord for. Basically, when do you want to switch your chords? And that might be dictated upon the melody line that you have, or just whatever you're hearing in your head. So let's go ahead and I'm going to start with C. So I'm doing 4 beats of C, 2 for the F, and 2 for the G. So I can start there, and then I can add chords in if I want to. So now I have C to A minor, to the 4, F, to the G. I can shorten it. So you can see the combinations are endless and the possibilities are endless because you can choose the duration that you want to play those chords for, and you can choose the order. Maybe I wanted to start with the minor chord. So I'm 6 minor to the 1 chord, then the 4 to the 5, back to the 6 minor. Again, just explore and use your ear as your guide as you build chord progressions. Now, to get started, let me share with you some very common chord progressions that have been used in thousands of songs. One of them is going to be the 1, 5, 6, 4. So in the key of C, we'll have 1, 5, 6, and 4. Now I'm playing these at a specific tempo here, but you can play them at any tempo you want, and again in any key you want. Another common chord progression is the 1, 6, 4, 5. So 1, 6, 4, 5. Another common one is the 6, 4, 1, 5. So another common one is the 1, 4, 6, 5. And of course, the first one that we touched on, which is the 1, 4, 5 chord progression, right? So again, those are just some sample common chord progressions that you can use, and then modify them, shift things around, do the chords for a different duration of time, switch between them at different points. Just basically make them your own. I just wanted to give you some starting points though. So some practice tips for you. First, go ahead and pick a key. Pick the key that you want your song to be in, or your chord progression to be in. Identify, step 2, identify all of the chords that are in that key. Step 3, go ahead and get a piece of paper out and maybe write down the chord progression that you want. Write down how many beats that you're going to play each chord for, and then when you switch to the next chord, write how many beats you're going to play for that. And start to put these pieces together. Now, you don't have to stay in the key that you're playing in if you don't want to. If you want to start adding some chords, that are outside of the key, that's fine. Everything is fair game. Again, just use your ears to create your own chord progressions. Well, that's it for this video. Again, if you found any value in it whatsoever, please consider supporting the channel for free by subscribing down below, hit the like button, and knock on the bell and you'll be notified when the next video comes out. I wish you a wonderful day.